who could have predicted the success that Rick Reed would have. 13 wins and a 3.01 ERA. The Mets face the Braves in the last series of the year. Next on 9. From Shea Stadium in New York, tonight the Mets start the last series of the season versus the Atlanta Braves. Mets Baseball 97 is brought to you by Budweiser. Brewery Fresh Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. By Pizza Hut, making it great again and again. And by your New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut Nissan dealers who remind you that life is a journey. Enjoy the ride. Pitching for the Braves tonight, Chris Brock with a record of no wins and no losses, an earned run average of 5.47. On the mound for the Mets, Brian Bohanon. He's 6-4 for the year, an earned run average of 3.71.
Beautiful autumn evening as the Eastern Division winning Atlanta Braves, 100 wins on the year, move into Shea for the last series of the season. Good evening again, and welcome to another evening of Mets baseball. Tim McCarver and Ralph Kiner. And the healing process is underway as far as the Mets are concerned. 86 wins on the year, their best year of the 90s, or since 1991. And the Mets hoping that the healing process underway for their star catcher who had surgery today, Ralph.
Todd Hundley had surgery today. Dr. David Alchek performed the surgery. He underwent the surgery for bone spurs and chips, and it was in his right elbow and had ligament damage repair. And Dr. Alchek explains the difference between a pitcher and a catcher in this department.
We don't know as much about catchers coming back from this surgery as we know about pitchers because as you all know, this injury is much more common in pitchers. We just have to assume that catchers put a lot of pressure on the elbow. It's a daily grind. There's contact involved as well as throwing. There's hitting involved as well as throwing. So we're not going to have Todd come back until we're absolutely confident that that ligament is what we call biologically mature, that healing process is finalized and can withstand all these stresses, including the stress that may be somebody sliding into home plate and essentially a contact injury to his arm.
Dr. David Alchek earlier today, so repair is the word of the day and will be the word of the winner for Todd Hundley and the Mets, and prepare the word for Bobby Cox. And we'll talk to Bobby right after this from Saturn. Welcome back to Shea Stadium as we await the start of the last series of the year, the Atlanta Braves, and Bobby Cox is our guest. And Bobby, your 6th consecutive postseason appearance. Is this year any tougher than the other years were?
It seemed tougher for some reason. I don't know why, Tim. It just seemed like it went fast, but it just seemed tough to me for some reason. We had a lot of new players, but I guess it took some getting used to some of them, maybe. I don't know. But, you know, there was a lot of teams I thought that were going to give us a lot of trouble, and I thought the Mets, you know, and they did. I mean, they played probably as good as they possibly could have played, and with a few breaks here and there, a few of the pitchers getting healthy, those young kids, they could have been right on us. And, of course, the Florida club we knew, and I really thought Montreal would really hang tough all season long and push us, and they held tough for a while but then petered out some. But it just seemed a little tougher this year for some reason. They're all tough, believe me. It's not easy. It's really a grind, you know. To win a divisional title is tough, and I don't care what anybody says at the beginning of the season. It is a tough grind. You have to keep pushing day in and day out. In order to do it, you have to push. And expectations, your standards that you set for yourself. We've set our own standards, that's for sure. And people, their expectations in Atlanta are huge. And around baseball, all the media, you know, just it's a given we're going to win. But that's not the case. And, you know, you can be overconfident, you can be a lot of things. But we are a very talented ball club. We have a lot of talent on it. And I think, you know, we got some skilled positions where guys excel at. And our pitching's been good. overall hitting has been good. We went for about a 3-week stretch in August at the very worst time to hit about 180 as a team. And since then, we've recovered from that some. But that was a scary stretch of the season when we weren't hitting at all.
Is that probably your major concern going into the playoffs? Hitting?
No, I think it's, you know, if you're hot, you're hot. You go into these playoffs, it's sort of like a crapshoot. I'm sure that if you took the worst team in baseball, a team with the worst record, and put them in the first round of the playoffs, because everybody has one good pitcher, and I know the Phillies came on strong this year, but you put that Phillies team in the playoffs with Schilling going Game 1 and Game 5, or Game 1 and Game 4, and their second best going Game 2 and 5, they could give everybody fits. And so it's kind of a crapshoot. And what you hope for is going down the stretch, your guys get hot, and they play hot, and they play good. Because if you're cool and you don't play a very good ball game for a couple nights, you're gone. I mean, you can pack them up.
Oh, Bobby, you're not going to be gone for a long time. We wish you continued luck. Thank you so much for being as cooperative as you always are.
Well, thank you, Timmy.
Bobby Cox of the Atlanta Braves, and we'll be back for the start of the 3-game series right after this from Ford. This year, April the 12th against the San Francisco Giants. Similar weather. And here we are the last weekend of the season. What happened? Here's Brian Bohanon, 6-4 on the year, a 3.71 ERA, pitching to the left-handed, predominantly left-handed hitting lineup of the Braves.
And for the Braves, it'll be Kenny Lofton to lead it off. He'll be in center field. Batting second, the shortstop Jeff Blauser. Batting third, the third baseman Chipper Jones. Batting fourth at first base, Fred McGriff. Batting fifth in right field, Andrew Jones. Batting sixth, the left fielder Ryan Klesko. Batting seventh is the catcher Eddie Perez. Batting eighth, the second baseman Tony Graffianino. And the pitcher Chris Brock batting in the ninth position.
First pitch up and in to Kenny Lofton, and the second pitch is low. 2-0 to Kenny. Kenny batting .333 on the DL a couple of times for Bobby Cox's Braves. Talent-laden Atlanta Braves. As Lofton takes a strike, they will, as a matter of fact, play the first game of the playoffs at 1 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon in Atlanta, hosting the Houston Astros. 2-2 to Lofton, and then following that game will be either the San Francisco Giants or the Los Angeles Dodgers at Florida. That's a 4 o'clock game, and then the Cleveland Indians against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. As the curveball is low, a full count. So 3 games in the playoffs slated for Tuesday. Bobby Cox trying to get his troops ready, and as he said before the game, they are ready and talented. Still 3-2 to Lofton.
Amazing job winning 6 division titles in the last 6 completed seasons. One season wasn't completed, and they were second to Montreal that year, but they did not have the playoffs.
And ball 4. So Lofton draws a base on balls to lead off the ball game. Let's take a look at the defense for the Mets. Carlos Mendoza in left field, Brian McCray in center, and Butch Huskew's had a marvelous year in right. Matt Franco at third, Louis Lopez at short, Carlos Baerga the second baseman, John Olerud at first, and Alberto Castillo behind the plate. The umpires for tonight's game, Ed Rapuano behind the plate, Jerry Davis at first, Bill Hahn at second, Terry Tate, the crew chief, down at third. Lofton with 27 stolen bases, but he has been caught 20 times. That's the real surprise. We mentioned on the DL twice, the reason he was on the disabled list, groin problems, left groin area, both times. That cuts down on your base stealing percentage. 1-0 to Jeff Blauser, the shortstop. There's a strike, 1-1. Lofton going back to first then.
75 stolen bases last year with Cleveland. But those groin pulls are really tough on you.
Had a look at Bobby Dews, the third base coach. Pat Corrales down at first. Jimmy Williams, you may remember, used to be the Atlanta Braves third base coach. He just finished his first year as manager of the Boston Red Sox. Here's Pat Corrales. former Major League manager with the Indians, Philadelphia Phillies. One and one to Blauser. Another throwback. Notice how Pat Corrales is out of the coaching box at first base to get a better look at Brian Bohanon. Technically, coaches are supposed to remain in the box, but that's a liberal approach that umpires normally take with coaches like that. Good breaking ball in there. 1 ball, 2 strikes now to Blauser.
A lot of that's for self-preservation from foul balls off the bat of the batter. See those coaches get as far away as possible.
Now, not in Corrales' case, right
No,
there.
not now, no.
Yeah, he's looking at the left-handed move of Brian Bohanon like an eagle. 1 and 2 to Blauser. High, ball 2, 2 and 2.
Blauser with his career year this year. He got off to a fantastic start. Hit over 400 in April and at 309 for the year. And he's hit 309 against left-hand pitching.
And he hits this one hard down the left field line. Mendoza gets to it. Lofton will be held at third with nobody out. Blauser with a double number 31 on the year. So the Braves with runners on at second and third and nobody out here in the first inning.
Number 10, third baseman.
And Bohanon with a hanging curveball and Blauser all over the top of it. He just stayed on that ball and drove it down the left field line. Just sitting up there, and he's got the double. And runners at second and third with no one out as the Braves get underway.
That curveball blouse high to Blauser. He loves the pitch around the letters. He does not miss that too often. And he didn't then. Here's Chipper Jones, a much better hitter from the left side. 67 points better as a left-handed batter. Infield back for the Mets. Fouled away. 0-1 to Chipper Jones. One of 2 Joneses in the lineup this evening. Last time the Mets played the Atlanta Braves down in Atlanta, they scored 10 runs, did the Braves, in game 1 of that 2-game series, 11 in the second game. So 21 runs in 2 games against the Mets. There's a strike, 0-2. Jones behind in the count. Just misses outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes now to Jones. Now the advertising behind home plate, Ralph, I guess typifies with the true value sign back there. I guess that typifies the economic structure of the Mets starting staff. I mean, they got true value out of their starters this year. Brian Bohanon, just one example. And Jones down on strikes. 1 out here in the first.
Bohanon 6-4 on the year, and he was brought up from Norfolk on April the 6th when Pete Harnisch couldn't pitch. And he won that game against the Giants. That was in San Francisco. Here's the pitching right here by Bohanon. He throws a fastball in the first pitch, another fastball for strike 2, and misses with a fastball, and comes back, and the changeup sends Jones back to the bench.
3 fastballs and a change. Good sequence to Chipper Jones. Chipper down on strikes. Here's Fred McGriff. Tap toward first. Olerud feels it on the play. Lofton scores. There are 2 outs as McGriff drives in run number 97 on the season.
Batting 5th, number 25, right fielder Andrew Jones.
With the first 2 batters getting on, Bohanon will do well to get out of this with only 1 run. And he contributed to his own problem when he walked the leadoff batter, Kenny Lofton.
Leadoff walks seem to always score. Andrew Jones, the batter. And a breaking ball is low. 1 ball, no strikes to the multi-talented Andrew Jones. Jones will be playing against left-handed pitching in the playoffs. On the corner, 1-1. If you're wondering about the Houston Astros, they have one left-hander that will be starting in the divisional series. That's Mike Hampton, who won the clincher last night. 9-1. Won his 15th game of the season. As another fastball is in there to Jones. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Andrew. Then you have the 2 right-handers, Darryl Kyle. He'll be right in the running for the Cy Young Award with 19 wins. And Shane Reynolds, another right-hander. See what manager Larry Durker does and who he will start as Jones grounds to second. First 2 on. You're right, Ralph. Good job by Bohanon. 1-0 Braves. Back after this from Budweiser. Young right-hander Chris Brock, his 6th start of the year. Everybody knows about Atlanta starting pitching. And we'll see whether Chris Brock makes the final cut for the playoffs.
And this Mets lineup brought to you by your Tri-State Quality Ford dealer. It'll be Carlos Mendoza leading off. He's in left field, batting second. Third baseman Matt Franco. Batting third, the first baseman John Olerud. Batting fourth, the right fielder Butch Husky.
High to Mendoza, ball 1.
Fifth batter will be Carlos Baerga at second. Batting sixth and playing center field, Brian McRae. Seventh batter, the shortstop Luis Lopez. Batting eighth, the catcher Alberto Castillo. And the pitcher Brian Bohanon batting ninth.
1 ball, 1 strike to Carlos Mendoza as the strike zone of a matchbox. You know, his hero growing up, he's from Bolivar, Venezuela. His hero was Vic Davalillo, and he's got a little bit of a stance like the Mongoose. Mongoose was Davalillo's nickname. Mendoza fouls it back, 2-2 to Carlos.
Good little ball player, Davalillo.
Regular center fielder for the Cleveland Indians was Davalillo. And the fastball is low to Mendoza. So a full count to Carlos Mendoza. 1-0 Braves here in the bottom of the first. Matt Franco on deck.
Help Brock out right there. That pitch high out of the strike zone. He fouls it off, so they'll do it all over again at 3-2.
I'll paraphrase that line by Juan Samuel in the Dominican Republic. You don't walk out of Venezuela. But he did. So Mendoza draws a base on balls against Chris Brock, and as Kenny Lofton did for the Braves, Mendoza does for the Mets.
Baseman Matt Franco.
One of the great lines, Juan Samuel talking about the Dominican Republic. You do not walk off the island.
You got to swing your way off there.
I think that's probably true for most Hispanic players. They are free swingers.
And like those high fastballs.
Mendoza with his first start on Wednesday night against the Pirates. First major league RBI. Looking for his first major league stolen base as Franco takes strike 1 from Chris Brock. 0-1 to Matt. 276, a fine year, and a guy who has earned the respect of everybody here in the New York area. A guy who swings from the pine.
283 pinch hitting batting average with 17 base hits, 2 of them home runs.
Grounded hard back to Brock. Had Chris come up with it right away, he would have had a chance for the double play. As it stands, he has to go to first. Well, you saw Chris Brock field that ball. Let's take a look at the rest of the Atlanta defense. Klesko, Lofton, Andrew Jones in the outfield. Chipper Jones, Blauser, Raffanino at second base with Lemke out of there, and he's doubtful for the first round of the playoffs. McGriff at first, Perez behind the plate. The other catcher, Javi Lopez, will do the bulk of the catching for the Braves in the playoffs. John Olerud takes a strike on the corner. 0-1 to John. John, like his counterpart Fred McGriff, with 96 RBIs on the year, and only one other season did Olerud have 100 RBIs. That was 1993. Change up is low, 1-1 to John.
93 the year he flirted with 400 until the middle of August. Still had a great year. He's got a dubious record. He has tied the record for being hit by pitch balls this year for a Mets player. Been hit 13 times. Time Ron Hunt.
Ron Hunt holds the single season record for being hit by a pitch ball 50 times. I think it was 1972 with the Expos. 2 balls and a strike to John Olerud. 1-0 Braves here in the first. Left field. Trouble. Over the head of Klesko. Olerud drives in his 97th run of the year with a ground rule double. It's 1-1 here in the first.
Olerud with 5 runs batted in the Mets' last game against Pittsburgh. And he picks up one right here. Goes after the pitch that's away and hits it down the left field side. Klesko unable to catch up with it, and Olerud with a 2-base hit.
So Fred McGriff drives in his 97th run in the top of the first. John Olerud, the Mets first baseman, driving in his 97th here in the bottom of the first. And a slider is outside to Butch Husky. What a remarkable year he has had. I guess the development of Husky and Alfonso, the 2 brightest spots in a year that has been very, very favorable for New York. 1-1 to Husky.
Husky in his second year, only one other player for the Mets drove in or had more home runs than Huskies had this year in his second year, and that was Darryl Strawberry, who had 26 in his second year with the New York Mets. Husky with 24.
Strong numbers for Butch Husky. And the breaking ball outside. 2 balls and a strike to Butch. Lined up the middle, base hit. Olerud's going to come around to score. It's 2-1 New York as Husky drives in his 81st run of the year.
Husky gets a fastball right here. This is his comparative records of 96 and 97. Some marked improvement showing up on those stats.
So Butch with another RBI. Mets have come back with 2 here in the first. Bring up Carlos Baerga. 0-1 to Baerga. Another interesting story, and the Mets roster is full of them. Carlos breaking spring camp. A lot of questions about whether he still had the ability. Rededicated himself after April. He batted only 161 in April. And there goes Husky. Perez couldn't find the ball. Good base running by Butch.
That should be scored as a pass ball or possibly a wild pitch. Husky wasn't breaking right away. When he saw the ball get away, he alertly took off for second base. Good job of base running. Ball in the dirt, bounces away.
You know, I think it should be a wild pitch. Even though the ball was in the dirt, the ball hit the right arm of Perez, bounced off, and that's why Husky went to second base. Good play by Perez there, and it was scored a pass ball. Had that ball not been hit by the right arm of Perez, then Husky would not have been able to go to second base. 2 balls and a strike to Baerga. 3-1 to Carlos.
Here's a replay of the ball thrown by Brock. It's down in the dirt, a breaking ball, and then as he comes up, the arm knocked it away. Would have been right in front of him.
Carlos Baerga walks. We haven't said that much this year. For Baerga, only his 20th walk of the year, and that's in 467 plate appearances. They trimmed down Leo Mazzoni. Leo's lost about 20 pounds in the last 6 weeks. Funny, Leo Mazzoni, the pitching coach of the Braves, has lost weight. Bobby Cox had a new haircut. Looks like both are ready for combat, huh, Ralph? That's what you do when the playoffs come up.
Got to get ready. Now Mazzoni looks like a new man.
Bobby Cox has had a sweet year with the Braves. They won their 100th last night in Philadelphia. Only the second time in this century that the Braves have won 100 games. They did it back in 1993. And now here in 1997, the old Boston Bean Eaters did it in 1892 and 1898. As Brian McCray fouls it back 1-1.
Of course, Boston called the Bean Eaters at one time. They were called the Bees. They were called the Braves. Then they moved to Milwaukee, and then moved from Milwaukee down to Atlanta.
Hung up on bees, right? From the Bean Eaters to the Bees to the Braves. No, Boston beans are, you know, everybody likes Boston beans. But I mean, Bean Eaters. Got to come up with a better sobriquet.
Well, you got to remember it was 1893 when they had that name.
1893, Bean Eaters. I mean, Patriots. Of course, New England named that now, but that's a football team. This is foul back, 2-2. Kurt Schilling, 4 strikeouts versus the Florida Marlins. Most by a right-hander in National League history. That breaks J.R. Richards' record. I believe it was set back in 1979. 313 back in 1979. Tapped left side. Jones goes to second, and no play at first to get to Speedy McCray. Husky stops at third, so the Mets with runners at the corners. 2 outs, a 2-1 Met lead, and that'll bring up Luis Lopez, the shortstop.
Little tapper. McRae doesn't hit it hard. It's right at Jones. Chipper Jones goes to the second baseman, and that's all they can get is the force play at second base, and the Mets have runners at first and third with 2 men out.
We will be keeping a close eye later in the game on the 2 very important games. The Dodgers playing at Colorado and the San Diego Padres playing at San Francisco. Sean Estes will be starting against Pete Smith in that Giant game. So the Giants with their ace on the mound, Estes 18-5 on the year. They are 2 games in front of the Los Angeles Dodgers. UPN-9 News, Russ Salzberg will have the scores and the updates of both the Dodger game and the Giant game on our news immediately following the game. So we'll try to lead Russ and the guys into those 2 very important games. The only division open in Major League Baseball, the Western Division of the National League, with the Houston Astros clinching last night with that 9-1 win. One and 1 to Lopez. There goes McCray, changeup. The pitch was a strike. So Brian McCray with stolen base number 17 on the year.
No throw by the catcher, but it will be recorded as a stolen base with Husky on at third. So the Mets now will have 2 in scoring position.
for left field. Klesko can't get to it. And another ground rule double, the second of the inning. Husky and McCray score. It's 4-1 New York. How about the power the other way that Lopez has shown?
Really amazing. Came in this game with 1 home run, and he drives that ball over the head of Klesko, who's playing a rather shallow left field. Goes after the fastball away, and it's over his head. And then bounces up over the fence. So a grounds rule double, and the Mets now have a 4-1 lead.
Looked like Klesko's first step was in on the ball hit by Lopez. Ryan perhaps fooled. You see the diminutive Lopez. You don't think he has that power the other way, but we have seen him do it time and time again this year. Alberto Castillo, high hop for Blauser. He throws out Castillo, but the Mets bark back with 4. It's 4-1 New York after 1. Back after this from Infinity.
Oh, there's no way he's out. It's impossible.
Actually, Coach, it's not. See, Jimmy had to travel a distance of 90 feet. He reached an average speed of 15 miles per hour. The ball left 2 seconds later than Jimmy and had to go 1.5 times the distance.
If education is important to you, talk to your child's school about raising academic standards. Call 1-800-38-BE-SMART for a free booklet and be a big league
Thus
parent.
enabling it to reach the destination at a much quicker rate.
Did you factor in the wind speed?
That gentleman right there looks like Jeff Mitchell, our producer, in about 10 years and about 300 treatments of Rogaine. As the fastball is into Ryan Klesko for a strike. There he is. Looks related to our producer. And kidding our friend and colleague Steve Olbaum, Jeff Mitchell, Rick Miner, all our friends here at WWOR that continue to make our jobs easier up here in the booth. Winding down here. This is my last game, Ralph. You'll be back with Gary tomorrow. And I think the Mets have proven that they have surprised an awful lot of people. And I, for one, am glad to have been a part of this season as Klesko fouls it back 2-2 to Ryan.
It's been really a super year for the New York Mets. And when we started out on the West Coast trip and had this very tough start, it looked like it was going to be a long year, and then the ball club turned around.
Mets 3-6, their first 9 games of the year, from San Diego to San Francisco to Los Angeles. And they have really revitalized baseball here in Queens this year. They lead in this game 4-1. Ryan Klesko, full count to Ryan. And the breaking ball gets him. Good breaking ball for Bohanon. Strikeout number 2 as Brian gets Ryan. 1 out here in the second.
Ryan not too successful against left-hand pitching. This year he's hitting .202 against left-hand pitching. But having a fine September, he's hit .339 this September, not counting that strikeout.
Eddie Perez through the legs of Lopez. Looked like it hit him on the left heel after the ball went through the legs. It's going to be an error on Louis Lopez. First error of the ball game.
Louis making his 9th error of the year. He hasn't played a whole lot of shortstop, been used more at second base. And goes right through the wickets. There it is.
Funny about you see Louis trying to field that ball with the hands back around the feet. It's a funny thing, when infielders get down on ground balls, on a ground ball, if you lower the rear end, that pushes the hands out. You actually see the ball go in the glove. Watch Lopez field this ball with the rear end up.
And the hands back. You got to get the derriere down.
Derriere down, pushes the hands out. Fastball to Tony Graffinino, the second baseman, is low. 2 balls and no strikes to Graffinino. And Bobby Cox telling me before the ball game that Mark Lemke, their fine defensive second baseman, will probably not be ready for the first tier of the playoffs beginning next Tuesday against Houston. Inside the bag at third. Fielded nicely by Mendoza. That holds Perez to third. Graffinino with double number 9 on the year. So once again, the Braves with runners on at second and third and 1 out, and the pitcher Chris Brock coming up.
Braves as a team hitting .270. That's third in the National League. They're second in home runs to Colorado with 171. And this ball, a double down right over the bag. Matt Franco had no chance to stop that ball, and then ends up as a 2-base hit.
Chris Brock, 1 for 8 on the year, takes a strike. 0-1 to Chris. Nothing in 2. You folks may or may not know, speaking of Lemke, that if a player is injured and deemed unavailable for one tier of the playoffs, the first tier being 3 out of 5, the best 3 out of 5, he cannot be added at any time during that 3 or 4 or 5 game series. This one off home plate. Brock drives in a run, making an out. It's now 4-2 New York. However, in Lemke's case, Mark could be added after the divisional series if the Braves make it to the National League Championship Series against either Florida, Los Angeles, or San Francisco. Same applies for the National League Championship Series. In other words, Lemke could miss the divisional playoffs and the League Championship Series and then be added for the World Series. Doesn't work from game to game, but from series to series. With the wild card series, of course, there are 3 tiers in the playoffs. Lofton drops a bunt and a beauty, and Franco can't make the play. So a bunt base hit by Kenny Lofton, RBI number 48 on the year, and it's now a 4-3 Met lead.
Well, you don't see a 2-out bunt for a base hit to drive in a run from third too often in baseball. But Lofton does it perfectly right here. Franco tries to barehand it. He was probably going to he was going to go to first base. He didn't have a shot on Lofton, I don't think, at all at first base. He might have had a possible play at home. He surprised everybody with that bunt.
Jeff Blauser doubled his first time up. The Braves with 1 in the first, 2 here in the second. Mets scored 4 in their half. Knocked down, picked off as Blauser grounds to Franco. 4-3 Mets, middle of the second. Back after this from Chevrolet. 4-3 ball game as Bobby Valentine looks on, trying to get his team or watch his team win their 87th game of the year. 1-1 to Brian Bohanon. Rafael Belliard, who will be playing in his 7th consecutive postseason series as a backup shortstop. Played for Jim Leland for 3 years and now with Atlanta for 4 years. In there for Jeff Blauser. That's what Bobby Cox wants. Gives the regulars a couple of at-bats as Bohanon lifts one deep to center field. We also have a change. Kenny Lofton is out of there. It looks like Andrew Jones in center field. And mark our words, this young man right here will win a Gold Glove, probably more than one sometime, as a center fielder. He's that good.
And in all likelihood, he'll replace Kenny Lofton in center field next year.
Left fielder Carlos Mendoza.
So Jones started the game in right field. He moved to center field like a spring training game for the Atlanta Braves. Danny Batista moves into right field. Batista will be on the roster in postseason play. Fine defensive player. And a guy who could have gotten the biggest hit of the season for the Braves. A pinch hit home run against the Cardinals to beat St. Louis in a game a couple of months ago. 1-1 to Carlos Mendoza, who walked and scored in the first. He taps to Graffinino, the second baseman. Tony throws him out. 2 outs here in the second. A good time to tell you that tonight's game is brought to you by Budweiser. That's Brewery Fresh Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Matt Franco grounded back to the pitcher in the first inning. It was a key play. Had Brock come up with the ball, he could have had a chance for 2. He dropped the ball, had to throw to first, and that kept the inning alive for the Mets to score 4 times. That was a misplay, and then an error by Luis Lopez allowed 2 unearned runs to be scored in the second inning. It's 4-3. 2-0 to Matt Franco. Ball 3, 3-0. Little looper down the right field line, swinging on 3-0. Franco was jammed. The Mets go in order here in the second inning. 4-3 New York. Back after this from Telecom. 4-3 Mets on top here in the third inning. Chipper Jones perhaps will be batting for the last time this evening. Bobby Cox giving both Jeff Blauser and Kenny Lofton 2 at-bats against Brian Bohanon. Chipper Jones, a strikeout victim in the first inning, taps this one to shortstop. Lopez on 1 pitch throws out Chipper Jones. And there are some things that override the game, and certainly in this particular instance, the operation of Todd Hundley today, reconstructive surgery of his right elbow by Dr. David Alchek, and Steve Phillips, the general manager of the Mets, is with us. And Steve, kind of, very successful operation, but an operation that certainly you didn't foresee when this season started. And Matt Franco, fine play on a ball hit by Fred McGriff. 2 outs.
Yeah, Todd had this injury, a stretched ligament in his elbow for quite a while, about the last 4 or 5 years, been able to play with it, but time caught up with him and had the injury, and we're pleased. The surgery was very successful today. They removed some bone spurs and bone chips from the joint and repaired the ligament, and we're certainly hopeful that he'll rehab quickly and be back for some point after the start of the 1998 season.
A check swing by Andrew Jones, barehanded by Baerga. 3 pitches, 3 outs, and obviously you'll stick around for the bottom.
I'll be glad
of the
to do it. Glad to do it.
Still 4-3 New York. Bottom of the third coming up after this from Nobody Beats the Wiz.
Fans, this Sunday is closing day, and everyone at the 140 Mets Braves game will have a chance to win great prizes like round-trip tickets from Pan Am, dinner for 4 at the Mid-City Grill, luxury box tickets to an Islander game from Sports Channel, Marriott Hotel, giveaways, starter, sportswear, and much more. Stop by Shea to enter, or for tickets, call 718-507-TIXX during business hours. That's Sunday, this coming Sunday, 140 game, Mets and Braves.
John Olerud, the batter for the Mets here in the bottom of the third. 1 ball and no strikes as Greg Colburn comes in the game to replace Fred McGriff. And Mike Mordecai at third base. Chipper Jones is out of there. So the Braves with 4 starters out of there. And in here with us, Steve Phillips, robbed of Steve's comments in the top of the third. But what a difficult player to replace in Todd Hundley when you think of your plans in 1998.
Well, there's no question about it. Todd is so important to our offense, and to go out and find somebody to fill in, even for a short period of time, it's going to be difficult to replace that offense in the lineup because of that leadership he gives us.
This one hit deep to center field, and Jones is back near the wall to make the play. Jim Beecham, who is responsible for the outfield play of the Braves, told me a story earlier in the year that he could not hit a ball over Andrew Jones's head. Jones plays shallow, and he goes back about as well as any outfielder in the National League.
And a wonderful catch there. Great jump. And as Tim pointed out earlier, you're going to see a lot of this fellow in center field.
I would imagine, Steve, of course, that's not your job, the Atlanta Braves, but with their payroll, it'll be not inconceivable. Another one hit to Jones by Butch Husky. 2 outs here in the third. It'll be tough for the Braves to sign Kenny Lofton, would it not?
I would think so. You know, it's hard to know, and certainly they're drawing well at their new stadium and have some revenue coming in, but they're having to pay that pitching staff a lot of money now, and since they set the precedent with Glavine and Maddox and Smoltz getting the money, and I'm sure Nagel's making his share as well, they're going to have to spread the money around, and I'm not sure they may have enough, and Jones will certainly get the job done for him. There's no question about that.
Well, Ted Turner just gave $1 billion to the United Nations. I guess they got some money there.
I guess so.
Atlanta Braves are not a charitable organization, however. 1 ball, no strikes to Carlos Baerga, and the slider is high. 2-0 to Carlos. But back to Todd Hundley. If spring training started tomorrow, I guess the plans would be to have Todd Pratt as your #1 guy.
Well, I think that what we're going to have to do is evaluate. If it started tomorrow, that would be the case. I think we're going to have to evaluate whether Castillo and Pratt, if either one of them could be the everyday catcher, and if not, can they do it in tandem? And if not, then how can we mismatch a group of catchers? We may have to go with 3. We may have to add a left-handed hitting catcher to the crew to get us through until Todd comes back in. And that's what we're going to have to evaluate and try to piece together.
3 balls, 1 strike to Baerga. Grounded right side. Slipping is Graffinino. He throws out Baerga anyway. 2 quick innings. You'll stick around for the 4th. You'll able to start your broadcasting career here tonight.
You guys better look out. I'm going to take your job.
We'll be right back after this from Nissan.
Ryan Klesko goes after the first pitch and grounds it to the second baseman Baerga, and a quick out. So the last 4 batters have all hit the first pitch.
Catcher
So 4
Eddie
very
Perez.
quick outs as we go to the top of the 4th inning. Klesko had struck out his first time up. We have sitting in with us Steve Peters, the general manager of the New York Mets, talking a little bit about Todd Hundley, who had surgery today. And Steve, what about the possibility of Hundley coming back and not able to catch? Would he be used at first base?
Well, we'd have to.
Steve Phillips, I said. What did I say?
Peters, but that's okay.
Steve Phillips. Okay.
Nice to meet you, Ralph. No, I think.
Well, I guess I can look for another job now.
I think that's certainly something we're gonna have to consider is how he can come back, and first base would be the obvious place that he could go. We have a difficult decision to make. John Olerud's had a great year for us, has performed very well, and I think what we might do is just make the decision about first base, and if Todd comes back and he's unable to catch, then we'll have to figure out a plan from there. But we have every expectation that Todd will be able to come back and get the job done behind the plate.
Steve, John Olerud, the only free agent with the Mets. How does that affect the expansion draft? Explain it, if you would, for the fans who don't know anything about that.
Yeah,
and us too.
Yeah, the way it works is players that are potential free agents declare free agency 14 days, the first 14 days after the World Series. On the 15th day after the World Series, we have to submit our protection list. So at that point, those players that are going to become free agents have already declared, and they therefore would not be protected as part of your list of 15. If you sign a player, a free agent, after your protection list is submitted, then that player does not have to be protected at all, even if you sign them before the expansion date where they claim players. So with John Olerud, we'll know that he declares free agency and put a list in that would not have him on it if we don't sign him before that.
And Eddie Perez strikes out for the second out of the inning. And the batter coming up will be Tony Graffinino. Tony with a double, his first time up. That's leading by a score of 4-3. And the fastball fouled away. This has got to be one of the busiest winters that any general manager will ever have to face, with the expansion and all these things coming up, and especially for you.
There's no question about it. I think the expansion draft for everybody makes it a busier time with a lot of evaluations and decisions, particularly for the Mets with the injured players, the Pulsifers and Wilsons and Wallace and Payton, trying to make decisions on those players when we really haven't seen them back to full health and able to do everything that we expect that they can do. We have some difficult decisions, and certainly Todd's injury plays a part in that as well. So it's a busy time, but it should be a fun offseason.
Well, it was a fun year as the Mets came up. This one hit deep to left field. It is going, and gone. Goodbye. So Graffinino with a home run, and it's tied up at 4.
Steve and I both just mouthed wow at the same time.
Pitcher Chris.
That's worth a wow. Tony Graffinino, his 8th home run of the year, and you talk about getting all of it. That ball hit the bottom rung of the upper deck here, or the second deck here at Shea Stadium. Wow.
And now the pitcher, Chris Brock, and he grounds the first pitch to the second base side, and that out retires his side. So 1 run for the Braves to tie it up, and the score after 3.5 innings. It is the Braves 4 and the New York Mets 4. And here's a word from Budweiser. 4-4 ball game as we go to the bottom half of the 4th inning. Braves picking up a run in the first inning. We have some more changes for the Atlanta Braves. Tim Spear will be the catcher, replacing Eddie Perez. Tommy Gregg taking over in left field for Ryan Klesko. Brass Gregg back in the major leagues. He led the International League in hitting last year.
Yes, he did. Pretty good offensive player, and had some power as well. Hit some home runs down there this year.
And the batter for the New York Mets, Brian McRae, and Brian batting for the second time. Grounded into a force play his first time up. It's strike 1. And the pitcher, Chris Brock, missing with that pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike. Brian with the Mets hitting .255 with 5 home runs, 15 runs batted in. Just a shade better than his overall average, combining the Cubs batting average with the Mets at .244. And that's ball 2, 2 balls and 1 strike. And the foul ball puts it at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Talking with Steve Phillips, the general manager of the Mets, and you mentioned Tommy Gregg having a good year. It's a good time to have a good year if you're a minor leaguer because of expansion.
Well, there's no question about it. The expansion clubs have been scouting really for the last 2 years, but particularly this summer they've been in just about every ballpark. And a guy like Tommy Gregg, perfect timing to have that kind of year for an expansion team to maybe take a shot at him.
Look at the 1962 Mets, right, Ralph? You had guys like Hobie Landreth, Don Zimmer, Choo-Choo Coleman, Charlie Neal, Frank Thomas, Richie Ashburn.
And that pitch taken in there for a call strike, and strike 3. Never forget when they asked Casey Stengel why they drafted Hobie Landreth as their first choice in the expansion draft in 1961 for the 1962 season. He says, well, you got to start with a catcher, because if you don't, you're going to have a lot of pass balls.
Kind of what you have to do next spring or this winter, right? Start with the catcher.
No question about it. That's the plan.
First strikeout for Brock, and he now works to Luis Lopez, who doubled to the left field his first time up.
What a pleasant surprise Luis Lopez has been.
Oh, he's been a great player for us. I tell you, when he came up from AAA, we weren't even sure he'd be able to play shortstop on a regular basis. And not only did he not win, and then when he got in, we said, look, as long as he doesn't lose games for us, we don't need him to win games. Not only did he not lose games, he won games both offensively and defensively. He did a super job and really made it available for us to be able to trade Manny Alexander.
And it's ball 3, so a 3-ball no strike count. Lopez started his career with San Diego, then went to the Houston Astros, and the Mets actually got him for Tim Bogart. And that pitch in for a called strike, 3 balls and 1 strike. He has done an outstanding job basically as a utility ball player for the New York Mets, and even picked up Ordonez's way of fielding out there.
Yeah, he's making the play in the hole just like Ray with the pop-up slide and the strong throw to first. And he really is a good guy in the club. He's been good for Ray, a nice settling influence for Ray, and they room together on the road and spend a lot of time, and Louis done a super job for us.
So the Mets with a runner at first, the ball game tied at 4, and Alberto Castillo will be the batter. Castillo grounded out to short his first time up.
Hit and run situation right here with Castillo. Bobby Valentine loves to do it. Alberto can hit the ball the other way. One out. You want to get the runner at first around to third so he can score on something at it other than a base hit, especially with Bohanon on deck.
And the runner does go. The hit and run was on. The pitch impossible to reach. And the runner thrown out at second base. So the hit and run was on. Castillo tried to protect the runner, but the pitch was high and tight. He actually threw the bat at the ball trying to get a piece of it.
Lucky he didn't get hit in the coconut right here for the pitch. I mean, that is a pitch that you see in a squeeze situation. Castillo, no chance of hitting that ball. And fortunately for Alberto, the ball didn't hit him. That's a one thing a manager can do, is get you a good pitch to hit. And unfortunately for Castillo, that ball way up and in, and he had no chance.
So the count now at 2 balls and 1 strike as Brock tries the curveball and misses with it. 2 men out, bottom half of the 4th inning. A tie ball game at 4 in the first of the last 3 games of the season. Saturday an afternoon game. Game time at 4 o'clock. And then Sunday we'll be playing out here at 1:30.
Steve, which divisional series will you be going to? The one here in New York?
Actually, yeah. For the division series, we'll probably stay at home here. I think that what we typically do is head out for the first 5 games of the World Series. We'll be preparing the next 2 weeks for organizational meetings in Port St. Lucie, Florida, where we'll get our minor league and scouting staff together, evaluate every player in the system, and do a lot of discussing about the plans for the expansion draft this fall.
3 balls, 1 strike to Castillo. And a ground ball to the shortstop, Belliard. And the throw to first base retires aside. So, Steve Phillips, thanks for being with us and bringing us up to date on what's going on. Pleasure to have you with us.
Glad to do it. Thanks very much.
And great luck this winter.
Thank you.
Tie ball game at 4. Now here's a word from American Airlines. 4-4 ball game. We're in the top of the 5th inning. Tonight's game is brought to you by Nobody Beats the Wiz. For top brand home entertainment and home office systems, music, movies, and more, nobody beats the Wiz. And by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, every day. Well, some changes for the New York Mets as we go to the top of the 5th inning. And for the Mets, Butch Husky has moved to left field. Carlos Mendoza, who was in left field, has moved to center field. And Alex Ochoa has taken over in right field for the Mets. And a ground ball hit down to the shortstop. Danny Batista, the batter. And he is thrown out. So Batista batting for the first time. And he grounds out. Also for the Mets,
Shortstop Rafael Belliard.
Jason Hartke has taken over at second base, replacing Carlos Baerga. So Jason Hartke is the second baseman for the Mets. So with 1 away, the batter will be Rafael Belliard batting for the first time, and Belliard takes the first pitch for ball 1. Belliard, the backup shortstop for the Atlanta Braves. 1-0 pitch is fouled back into the stands, out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Talked about the Mets and backup shortstops. Luis Lopez. Interesting to hear Steve talk about Manny Alexander's trade being fueled by the good play of Lopez. Belliard's made a living at that, and a guy who had a chance to play regularly this year, Tim Bogard, down with Houston. Here's his chance to get into postseason play, and he breaks his left wrist.
And a ground ball to the third base side, fielded by Franco. The throw to first base, a tough throw to handle, and it cannot be handled. So an error will be charged on that play as Belliard takes over as the base runner at first base.
Third baseman Mike Mordecai.
Franco forced to wait on it because of the hop, and then the in-between hop gets John Olerud at first. So an error on Matt Franco. Had to hurry the throw, and a low throw. Olerud can't come up with it.
And now the batter will be Mike Mordecai as Franco gets charged with the error. Mordecai batting for the first time. And he takes the first pitch for a called strike. Brian Bohanon on the mound for the Mets. The score tied at 4. That's with 4 runs in the bottom half of the first after the Braves took the lead 1-0 in their half of the first. Ground ball again to third. Tough play again. And the force play goes to second. And the out call made there. So Belliard forced at second base and Mordecai on at first on the out at second.
Welcome to Tricky Hop Corner here at Shea Stadium. Well, Matt had the bunt to field where he came in. He had to wait on the hop. The ball hit by Belliard. And now a hop that almost eats him up. He made a fine play on.
And now Greg Colburn will be the batter, and he will be batting for the first time, replacing Fred McGriff at first base. And the first pitch taken for ball 1.
Normally called the hot corner. Tonight it's called the hop corner.
Bad hop corner.
Bad hop corner.
Colburn hitting at .282 with 7 home runs. He is the backup first baseman for the Atlanta Braves. Not many chances to play with McGriff there at first base, and a ground ball to the second baseman. Hartke goes to the shortstop. Lopez covering at second base for the force play that retires the side. So after 4.5 innings, it's the Mets 4 and the Atlanta Braves 4, and here's a word from Nobody Beats the Wiz.
First pitch to Brian Bohanon, a changeup from Chris Brock that was low. A 4-4 game here in the bottom of the 5th inning. High chopper foul. 1-1 to Brian. Now Lenny Welch entertaining the fans here at Shea, and a pretty good crowd here also. It's supposed to be a good crowd tomorrow, and then closing day on Sunday. If you have not made your plans, plenty of gifts that are going to be given away. A rendition of Fan Appreciation Day as the Mets show their appreciation to the fans this year as we take a look at our Nobody Beats the Wiz scoreboard. Most of the games insignificant. However, Ishmael Valdez against Jamie Wright in Colorado, and Pete Smith against Sean Estes at San Francisco. The Giants with a 2-game lead over the Dodgers with 3 games to play.
Center
Look at our
fielder
Toyota American League scoreboard. The Detroit Tigers 2-1 over the Yankees. Indians winning. It will be the Indians at Yankee Stadium next Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Brewers beating the Orioles. The Orioles play against Seattle prime time as Mendoza tries to bunt his way on. Nice play by the third baseman Mike Mordecai. There are 2 outs here in the 5th.
Third baseman Matt Franco.
So the Seattle Mariners hosting the Baltimore Orioles. That game will be played at 8 o'clock Central Time on Wednesday night. Tonight's game is brought to you by Budweiser. Brewery Fresh Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Tim McCarver, Ralph Kiner. Grounded foul with a 4-4 game here in the bottom of the 5th. The Mets trying to win their 87th game of the year. The Braves trying to get on Highway 101.
100 victories coming into this game, the 4th time in the history of the franchise that they've won 100 games.
That is quite a mark, too. Lifted to left field by Franco. It's caught by Tommy Gregg as the Mets go in order. 4-4 after 5. Back after this from the United States Postal Service.
Well, we will miss you, but you can start working on your plans to join the excitement at Shea in 1998. Now's the perfect time to get on board with Mets season ticket package that best suits you, your family, or organization.
Andrew Jones swinging a miss, 0-1 to Andrew Jones leading off the 6th.
A variety of packages are available in good seating locations for the 1998 season. Ticket operations and options include full season, Saturday, Sunday, and several midweek plans. For information on the 1998 Mets season ticket packages, call 718-507-TIXX during business hours.
Good time to combine your hot stove talk about baseball by purchasing some Mets tickets that are offered, as Ralph said, in a variety of packages over the wintertime. And get ready for the 1998 season as Roberto Pettigini takes the place of John Olerud at first. 1-1 to Andrew Jones, and it's hammered foul down the left field line. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Jones. Talking about that Lenny Welch song between innings an inning ago, half inning ago. Breaking up is hard to do, and a lot of major league organizations this year will be broken up and 1 put together, or 2 put together. Arizona and Tampa Bay. Full count to Andrew Jones.
The other thing we didn't ask Steve was about the realignment of Major League Baseball. They've been talking about actually moving some American League clubs into the National and vice versa.
Breaking ball, strike 3 as Jones down on strikes. A hesitation by home plate umpire Ed Rapuano. That's 4 strikeouts now for Bohanon. That'll bring up Tommy Gregg, the left fielder.
Bohanon to the young right-handed batter, and he picks up the strike right at the knees as Ed Rapuano calls him out.
Tommy Gregg, his first at bat of the night, takes a fastball strike on the inside corner. Ex-punt returner at Wake Forest, seems like eons ago, opened his career with Pittsburgh, moved to Atlanta, then to Florida, now back with the Braves. Jammed, foul territory. Franco, 2 outs.
Now Tommy, better known as Crash Davis. Crash running those punts back. He said he never called for a fair catch.
Crash Davis also played by Kevin Costner. That's what Eddie Perez talking to his pals Baerga and Alfonso, saying he would throw him nothing but breaking balls. As Tim Spear, the catcher, switch hitting catcher, takes a changeup low. Kevin Costner played Crash Davis and Bull Durham. Interesting baptismal name, is it not? Crash Davis. Popped up in the infield. For a 4-4 game, rapidly moving. We go to the bottom of the 6th, still tied at 4. Right after this from Miller Lite. This game moving right along. And speaking of that, on Pan Am, you can fly first class for the price of coach. For more information, just call your travel agent or 1-800-FLY-PAN-AM. With Ralph Kiner, Tim McCarver on a cool evening here at Shea. But things will be heating up in the New York area next Tuesday. Yankees host the Cleveland Indians. In the 3rd playoff game of the day, the Atlanta Braves and Houston Astros play in Atlanta at 1 o'clock. And then at 4 o'clock, either Los Angeles or San Francisco goes to Florida. 2-0 now to Roberto Pettigini. Speaking of guys with good years, we mentioned Tommy Gregg. Well, Roberto had a good year at the right time. He'll be left off the expansion roster of the Mets. Could be drafted by either Tampa Bay or Arizona. 2 balls and 1 strike. He's really never been given a full opportunity to play in the majors for any length of time. Good cut, fouls it back. 2-2 to Pettigini.
MVP of the Norfolk International League. Had a very good year there.
Low with the breaking ball, full count to Pettigini.
He hit .317 at Norfolk with 31 home runs, 100 runs batted in, MVP, all-star first baseman. That expansion opens up a lot of jobs for ball players.
And the breaking ball as Pettagini walks to open the 6th inning. A young lady, we mentioned earlier about our crew here at WWOR. We have a lot of fun and hope you folks have enjoyed our telecast. A young lady here at Shea who makes it easier for us to do our jobs. Jay Harwood's assistant Stella Fiore watching our game. And marvelous job Stella does, working with our public relations department. There's Jay, probably talking to Stella right now. Stella appropriately named because she does a stellar job. 1-0 to Butch Husky. Check swing, and Ed Rapuano saying the ball hit off of Tim Spear. So it's 1-1 to Husky. If the Dodgers beat the Colorado Rockies 3 more in a row, they won last night. Otherwise, the Giants' magic number would be 1. Hammered to center field. Andrew Jones is there. Throws to first. Pettagini back. 1 out. If the Dodgers win 3 in a row and the Giants win 1 of 3 against San Diego, then of course the National League West after 162 games will end as a tie. The Dodgers would have to travel to San Francisco to play the Giants on Monday afternoon. The winner of that game would then go to Florida to play an afternoon game in Miami the next day. Now the Dodgers would take that in a second because they trail the Giants by 2 games right now. And the Giants, with fate in their hands, if they win 2, it's all over, regardless of what the Dodgers do.
It's interesting.
The Giants could win it, or the Dodgers could win it if they win 3 in a row and the Giants lose 3 in a row. They could win it in regulation. High to Hartke, ball 1.
That'd be an awfully tough trip, but they certainly would take it.
No such thing as too long a trip in postseason.
If you can get there.
At least you've gotten there, right? Changeup is low to Hartke. So Jason finds the count 2 balls and no strikes. A 4-4 game, bottom of the 6th inning. The Mets with 3 hits, and the Braves have 4. Most of the Braves starters have departed, and about half of the Mets starters. Right center field. This could be trouble, and is. Pettagini stops at second base. Wow. He could walk to third with 1 out.
He made a bad base running mistake right there. That doesn't help the cause for the pitcher, Bohanon. This ball drops in. It's obvious it's going to drop in. Pettagini went to second base and just stopped. Now, the right fielder, Batista, slides on the wet grass, and that should have allowed him to go over to third base, but he never took advantage of it.
He had 2 chances to walk to third. Now watch. Talk about tentative base running.
And that's a go-ahead run out there, and we're in the 6th inning.
Why look at the third base coach? Cookie Rojas at third, looking at Pettagini in a rather disgusted fashion. I mean, Roberto had 2 chances to make it and didn't go. Here's Alex Ochoa, his first at bat of the night. And a breaking ball is low, 1-0 to Alex Ochoa. Little looper, right field, and is Bautista. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th of a 4-4 ball game.
Shortstop Luis Lopez.
Lopez, an RBI double. Matter of fact, he drove in 2 runs in his first at bat. The Mets with 4 in the first. Braves with a single run in the first, 2 in the second, 1 in the fourth. Low to Lopez. Chad Fox, the right-hander, warming for Atlanta. We may see 3 different relievers for the Braves in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. Bobby Cox tries to make up his mind as this ball off the chest of Colbert. Did come down with it. It did take a bad hop. We'll see how it's going to be scored. Could be a base hit.
Well, it takes a tough hop right here. He backs up on it, and the ball plays in. Comes off his chest. Now he can't get rid of the ball, so it is being scored an error against the first baseman.
That's a tough error right there. So the base is loaded for the Mets. Alberto Castillo, the batter. There are 2 outs, 4-4 game. Bottom of the 6th inning. Obviously the starter for the Braves. The starting staff selected. They'll probably go with Smoltz, Glavine. Braves, one of the few playoff teams that could go with 4 starters.
Braves are scheduled to pitch Denny Nagel in this series, and also John Smoltz.
Smoltz going tomorrow. Nagel will be going on Sunday. 0-2 to Alberto Castillo as Brian Bohanon waits on deck.
Glavine pitched last night. Pitched a strong ball game when he didn't get the decision in the ball game.
High, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Tommy Glavine ending the regular season 14-7, a 2.94 ERA. Pettigini at third. Hartke down at second base. And Luis Lopez over at first. 2 outs here in the 6th inning. Line to right field, base hit. 1 run scores. Bautista's throw, not in time. 2-run score. 6-4 New York.
Alberto Castillo picks up his 4th and 5th runs batted in of the year for the New York Mets. Batista's throw is offline, and the Mets take the lead by a score of 6-4.
Had Spear made the play, no chance to come back for the tag. Hartke would have beaten it as Brian Bohanon takes high, ball 1. Second time in this game that the Mets have had the lead. 4 in the first, 2 here in the 6th. 1-1 to Bohanon. Tapped foul, a ball and 2 strikes to Bohanon. Chris Brock, the Atlanta pitcher, will not be part of the Atlanta postseason staff. I think that's official. I can't be sure about that, but one would think that with the strong starters that the Braves have, certainly would not be starting. With the bullpen The thing about Atlanta is their starters go so deep into the game, you don't need middle relief for the most part unless it's an extra inning ball game.
Outstanding pitching staff.
Some say the best ever. It's among them. Mets scored 2, 6-4 New York. Back after this from Chevrolet. Sean Gilbert enters the game at third base. Fellow who started at third. Matt Franco moves over to first. And Roberto Pettigini, who had spelled John Olerud at first base, now moves to left field, and Butch Husky is out of there, and Ralph Kiner's in here for the play-by-play.
Okay, Tim, and the Mets leading by a score of 6-4. We're going to the top of the 7th inning. Tony Graffinino will lead it off. He's had a double and a home run in this ball game. His home run, a deep drive to left field, his 8th home run of the year. And he has stayed in the ball game all the way, playing second base for the Atlanta Braves.
Ralph, that game in Colorado started 12 minutes ago. Dodgers still hitting in the top of the first inning, so they've been out for a long time. They may be giving Jamie Wright and the Rockies trouble. Jamie Wright starting last Saturday against the Dodgers and winning that game.
Dodgers with runners at first and second in that ball game, as Graffinino takes for ball 2, 2 balls and no strikes. And Bohanon with his fastball picking up a strike, 2 balls and 1 strike. And the Dodgers have scored a run in the top of the first inning. So they lead by a 1-0 score, and now the Dodgers coming up with 3 more.
Must have been a 3-run homer.
And they lead that ball game as they bat in the first, and it was a 3-run home run. Eric Karros had a 3-run home run. So Graffinino singles the left field. He's had a single, a double, and a home run, and that puts a potential tying run at the plate. Checking out our new Dodge quiz for tonight's ball game. Who was the last pitcher to lead his league in wins while pitching for a last place team? Javier Lopez will be the pinch hitter, batting for Chris Rock, the starting pitcher for the Atlanta Braves.
Steve Carlton won 27 games in 1972 to lead the league for a last place team, winning about 45% of the Phillies games. Steve won 27. The Phillies didn't win but 59 that year.
Amazing record for a great pitcher. Strike 1 the count, and now strike 2 as Perez takes. And the next pitch swung on and missed, so it's a 1-2-3 strikeout for Brian Bohanon as he picks up the pinch hitter, Javi Lopez.
Strikeout number 5 on the year. The season high for Brian is 7 strikeouts against the Dodgers. Brian Bohanon has done a fine job entering this season with a 12-15 record, and you can see his numbers this year. 2 runs better than his career ERA.
He's 6-4 for the Mets, not counting this ball game, and at Norfolk he was 9-3, so he's had an outstanding year at AAA and in the major leagues, and that's ball 1. Danny Batista, the batter, batting for the second time. Batista grounded out his first time up. Mets leading 6-4, and a toss over to first base. Graffinino back easily. The Braves with a record of 26-14 against left-handed starters, as Greg McMichael throws in the bullpen for the Mets. The 1-0 pitch looped into shallow left field. Right there is Pettigini, and he makes the catch. And here's our answer to our new Dodge quiz. Who was the last pitcher to lead his league in wins while pitching for a last place team? The answer is Brett Sutcliffe. Led the National League with 18 wins in 1987, and his Cubs finished last in the National League East.
Wow.
Sutcliffe now broadcasting for the San Diego Padres.
Yep.
This ball hit deep down the left field line. It's going, and it is gone. Goodbye.
A home run by Belliard.
Raphael Belliard, who hasn't hit a home run in 10 years. Ha! His first home run in 10 years. He has only one Major League home run. Now he has two. That should be a cause for celebration.
Unbelievable.
His last home run was off Eric Shao of the San Diego Padres on May the 5th.
1987. 1,869 at-bats ago. 1,869 at-bats in over 10 years since his last home run.
And this one looped into center field for a base hit. Mike Mordecai, the batter. He had been up once before and grounded into a forced play. Here it is again.
The shot heard round the street.
It tied up the ball game at 6, and Belliard will have something to celebrate going into the playoffs. And the batter hits the ball high in the air to center field. Out there is Mendoza, and he makes the catch, and that retires the sides. But a happening here at Shea Stadium. Raphael Belliard with his first home run in 10 years, and the score tied at 6 as we go to the bottom of the 7th, and here's a word from Toyota. The man of the hour, Raphael Belliard, his first home run in 10 years, and he has tied the game at 6 as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. A new pitcher in the ball game for the Atlanta Braves, Chad Fox. And Fox with his first pitch to Carlos Mendoza, and it's taken high for ball 1. Fox 0-1 of the year, and he misses again, ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes.
As we said, Ralph, these are important appearances for the relievers of the Braves because how they do could determine whether they make the postseason roster or not. Fox, one of those guys.
And that's ball 3. 3 balls and no strikes. Braves with outstanding starting pitching. Suspect in middle relief, and also maybe a little bit suspect in the closing department. That's strike 1, so the count now 3 balls and 1 strike. And that's ball 4. This copyrighted telecast is authorized under television rights granted by Sterling Doubleday Enterprises solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Sterling Doubleday Enterprises is prohibited. Any commercial or other use of the program, such as by charging admission for its showing, is likewise prohibited. Runner at first base, no one out, bottom half of the 7th inning, and a throw over to first. The batter for the Mets, Matt Franco, who is 0 for 3. Franco started the game playing third base, has moved over to first base, as both sides have made numerous changes in the starting lineups. And there's a strike, 1 ball, 1 strike. Mendoza, the runner at first base, has good speed, hasn't had a chance to really show much of it. He has not attempted a stolen base this year. And Fox with the next delivery, a breaking ball for a ball. Franco at .270 for the year, 4 home runs, 20 runs batted in. 17 hits as a pinch hitter for the Mets, and 2 of those home runs. He has done an outstanding job for the Mets as a pinch hitter. And Fox back again, and the fastball fouled back out of play. Mets and Braves have met 9 times this year. The Mets have won 5 of the 9 games that they have played, with this game and 2 more to go. Braves with a record of 100 wins and 59 losses. And the pitch back to the plate, grounded to the first baseman, Colburn. He decides to go to second base and does. Comes back to the bag to take the throw, but it's not in time, or is in time. So Colburn gets the 3-6-3 double play, and the base runner erased as Mendoza is forced at second base on the double play.
That's a fine play by Greg Colburn. I believe the pitcher, Chad Fox, was over there covering. We'll see if Colburn got back. Had 2 guys right there at first. It was Colburn. Was a 3-6-3. The pitcher right there. Nicely turned.
And now the batter for the Mets will be Ricardo Pedicini, and he swings and misses, strike 1. Roberto walked his first time up and scored a run. Roberto Pedicini now playing in left field, and he takes the curveball for a called strike 2. Two strikes the count. Tie ball game at 6. Bottom half of the 7th inning. 2 men out. And the pitch back in the dirt. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
We understand that Curt Schilling of the Philadelphia Phillies, who set the all-time strikeout record by a right-handed pitcher tonight, recording his 316, was ejected from the game for hitting a Florida Marlin. We do not know who that player was. We'll check on it and have it for you next inning.
Strike 3, and that retires his side. So no runs, no hits, and no one left on base. The score at the end of 7. The Mets 6 and the Atlanta Braves 6. On our Miller Line score will return right after this message.
Come on! At Mets Baseball Heaven, the New York Mets Adult Fantasy Camp.
It's worth it. Every penny.
A day of baseball and in the tub.
Don't get that sleep. Hi, Mom.
You'll take to the field with former Mets players and coaches such as Meon, Jackson, Flynn, Stearns, Zachary, and many more. It's a 7-day season created just for you. For more information, call 1-800-898-METS. That's 1-800-898-METS for Mets Baseball Heaven.
We're going now to the top of the 8th inning. The ball game tied at 6, and Andruw Jones will be the leadoff batter. And Bohanon still in the ball game for the New York Mets. He throws a pitch into strike 1. Jones hitting .231 for the year. He is 0 for 3 with a strikeout, and there's strike 2, and it's no swing, and so it's 1 ball and 1 strike. First base umpire Harry Davis making the safe call, so no swing. And this ball looped into right field for a base hit. Jones to first base and holding there. Alex Ochoa gets it back in. And the Braves have a runner on with no one out here in the top of the 8th. The score tied at 6.
Left fielder Tommy Gregg.
That'll bring up Tommy Gregg, who has taken over in left field. Gregg has batted once and fouled out. Gregg hitting at .200 in a short amount of plate appearances. Led the International League in hitting this past season. And the toss over to first base. And Bohannon's next delivery outside for ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. Here's our Nobody Beats the Wiz National League scoreboard. And of course, the big game going on in Colorado with the Dodgers playing there. And that pitch high for ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. The Dodgers with 4 runs in the first inning. 3 of them coming on a 3-run home run by Karras.
Second in 2 nights. Eric Karras with a home run last night against Colorado. He has not had a good September, but he's had a good 2 games.
In our Toyota American League scoreboard, the Yankees tied at 2 with the Tigers. Now a strike, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Runner at first base, no one out, tie ball game at 6. Two balls and 1 strike to count. Bohanon back again. And this ball hit into the right field corner. It'll be extra bases. And it's 1 bounce off of the fence in right field. Jones to third base and being held there. And Gregg on at second. So the double puts runners at second and third with nobody out in this tie ball game at 6.
Ball short, hopping the fence, and were there 2 outs, Bobby Dews, the third base coach, would have tried to bring Andrew Jones around, but with nobody out, it's good strategy not to try to score him.
Let's have action going in the bullpen.
Yeah, Greg McMichael has been warming, and he is warm, and that's who Bob Apodaca will go to.
Tim Spear will be the next batter. So McAndrew Apodaca going to the mound, and McMichael coming in the ball game, and that's all for Bohanon, who leads the ball game in jeopardy with runners at second and third, and no one out here in the top of the 8th inning. So while we have a pitching change, here's a word from the New York State Lottery.
Brian Bohanon did not pitch poorly. 2 unearned runs in the top of the 2nd inning scored by the Braves, an error by Louis Lopez opening the gates. But Tommy Gregg with the double after a base hit by Andrew Jones. And Mets fans are seeing at present a 6-6 ball game with runners on at second and third and nobody out. And the ex-Brave, Greg McMichael, in 72nd appearance of the year.
And he'll be working to Tim Spear. Tim in the ball game has batted 1 time, and he popped up to second base. The Mets are bringing their infield in for a play at the plate. So McMichael with a tough job to do right here. 6-6 the score. Nobody out, and the first pitch in there for a called strike. Spear, the catcher for the Atlanta Braves, came in the ball game to replace Eddie Perez, who was the starting catcher. Braves have changed their entire lineup with the exception of the second baseman. The 1-strike pitch on the way, and a good off-speed pitch, and it's strike 2.
Mentioned that Greg McMichael has appeared in 72 games this year. There are 10 pitchers in the National League who have appeared in 72 or more games. Remarkable. Actually, there are 12 pitchers who have appeared. 3 have appeared in 73. The leader, Julian Taveras of the Giants, has appeared in 88 games. Unbelievable.
And the next pitch again, the changeup, but this one out of the strike zone. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Infield in for a play at the plate. Nobody out. Runners at second and third base. We're in the top of the 8th inning of a 6-6 ball game, and this pitch just does miss, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. On deck batter Tony Graffinino, the only batter in the starting lineup, still in the ball game. And the 2-2 pitch on the way, and it's pulled foul, so the count remains at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Braves with 6 division titles in their last 6 seasons of games that have been seasons that have been completed. Again, the 2-2 pitch on the way, and it's fouled back out of play, so the count will remain at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Spear batted back in the 6th inning, popped up to the second baseman. And that one catches nothing, I guess. It looked like it was right on the outside corner, but it was not called a strike by the home plate umpire at Rapiano.
Alberto Castillo catches.
Well, Castillo catches the pitch that wasn't a strike, so it goes to 3-2. Rapiano, the young umpire behind home plate. Whole count pitch, and it's again fouled off. So Spear with a tough at bat here as he stays alive at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Atlanta Braves batting here in the top of the 8th inning with nobody out. Runners at 2nd and 3rd. The game tied at 6. And again, the 3-2 pitch, and that's strike 3. So Spear is called out on strikes, and the Mets get a very important out, and that'll bring up the second baseman.
Second baseman Tony Graffinino.
Tim Spear, a good at bat, thought this ball was high. It's not. It's just that that pitch is rarely called a strike anymore.
That'll bring up Tony Graffinino, who's had a big night tonight. A single, a double, and a home run. He is 3 for 3. Home run is 8th of the year, and a long drive to deep left field. And the first pitch fouled off for strike 1.
Tony Graffinino wins a long drive contest tonight.
Boy, he really put that one in orbit. And if he can come up with a 3-base hit, he would hit for the cycle of rather rare feat. Not as rare as a no-hit, no-run game.
I think it's more rare, isn't it?
They're very close. About maybe one more perfect game, one more no-hit game than there is cycles, or vice versa. And that pitch strike 2, so it's a 2-strike count. Graffinino with a count of no balls and 2 strikes. That's infield still in for that play at the plate.
Michael wants to go out of the zone now to try to get Graffinino out.
I think he made a bad pitch if possible, and he does go out of the zone. Did he get the strike? It is strike 3. So McMichael striking out his first 2 batters with runners in scoring position. Now he'll try for the 3rd.
Good control is being able to throw a ball when you want to as much as a strike when you want to. Good job by McMichael.
Well, the infield drops back as Keith Lockhart comes up as a pinch hitter.
Alberto Castillo pointed toward first base initially, and now he's out to talk to McMichael, so they will in all probability be pitching to Lockhart.
Lockhart will be followed by Danny Batista in the batting order.
You might think, why not walk the left-hander to get to the right-hander? Well, the left-hander is a pinch hitter. It's his first at bat. So I think you do away with the right and left, the statistics.
And the first pitch, a good pitch right on the outside corner, called strike.
When you're dealing with a guy who would be up for the 3rd time in Batista and a guy who's up for the 1st time and Cole like Lockhart.
And also McMichael doesn't have the good curveball. He relies on the change of pace as his strikeout pitch along with a fastball. The 1 strike pitch, and it's strike 2. So McMichael, a pitch away from coming in with runners at second and third and striking out the next three batters. Crowd gets up. They want to see that happen. And we have a fine crowd here tonight. Two strikes to count. And the pitch. Ball one ball and two strikes. Michael last year with the Atlanta Braves in his first season with the New York Mets. So it's 1-2. And he struck him out. What a job by Greg McMichael as he comes in with runners at second and third and nobody out and strikes out three straight batters. So we go to the bottom of the eighth inning, all tied at 6, and here's a word from Saturn.
Alan Embry, the left-hander, is in there for the Atlanta Braves. Embry used to be with the Cleveland Indians, part of the trade that sent Kenny Lofton to Atlanta for Marquise Grissom and David Justice, a team that literally helped both clubs as the Indians face the New York Yankees next Tuesday night. Marquise Grissom, an excellent second half. David Justice, disabled for a while, has had a remarkable year. And the Indians clash with the Yankees next Tuesday night. Earlier that day, Alan Embry, Kenny Lofton, and the Atlanta Braves host the Houston Astros as the Major League playoffs begin.
And Sean Gilbert will be the first batter for the Mets here in the bottom half of the eighth inning. Score tied at 6. Gilbert batting for the first time. And he fouls off the fastball at strike one. It'll be Gilbert, Hartke, and Ochoa for the Mets as their first three batters here in the bottom of the eighth inning. Gilbert hitting .118. He has one home run, 1 run batted in. And a breaking ball in there for a called strike, so it's strike two. Brock, Fox, and Embry, the three pitchers for the Atlanta Braves in this game. Tomorrow afternoon, game time at 4 o'clock. It'll be Rick Reed going for the Mets, 13-9, against John Smoltz, who has won 15 and lost 12. Smoltz, the Cy Young Award winner of last year, and that's ball one, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Sunday, 1:30 ball game. Alceveda will be on the mound for the Mets, won with a record of 2-1 against Danny Nagel, who has won 20 and lost 4.
Right now, the only 20-game winner in the National League is Denny Nagel.
And the 1-2 pitch, a fastball on the outside corner, strike 3. So Embry strikes out his first batter, and that'll bring up Jason Hartke.
Second baseman Jason Hartke.
Pan Am is really taking off with new routes, more flights, and unbelievably affordable fares. Call your travel agent or 1-800-FLY-PAN AM. Hartke has been up one time. He has a base hit. Singled into right center field, his one at bat. Hitting .250 for the year, 2 home runs, 8 runs batted in. He chases one out of the strike zone at strike 1. Hartke replaced Carlos Baerga in the lineup. Baerga 0 for 1 in his 2 plate appearances, also walked. 1 strike pitch. Ball 1, 1 ball and 1 strike. On this day back in 1961, Roger Maris hit his 60th home run. Hit it off of Baltimore pitcher Jack Fisher, who later on pitched for the New York Mets.
Breaking the record with a home run off Tracy Stallard.
on the last day of the season in 1961. And that pitch a ball, 2 balls and 1 strike. Also on this day, and Nolan Ryan pitched a no-hitter, his 5th. First to pitch 5 no-hitters in the career. He's pitching for Houston, won 5-0 over the Dodgers at the Astrodome. Fly ball to center field. Jones right there, Andrew Jones. And he puts it away. So 2 men out, and Alex Ochoa will be the batter. Ochoa batted 1 time as he came into the ball game. Batted in the 6th inning, flied out to right field. Hitting .237 for the year with 3 home runs, 22 runs batted in. It has not been a productive year for Alex. And Alan Embry with his first delivery, and it's called a ball. 1 ball and no strikes. One ball, no strikes, 6-6 ball game, 2 men out, bottom half of the 8th inning, and that's a ball for ball 2. And the 2-0 pitch on the way, ball 3, missing with a fastball, 3 balls and no strikes. Tony Graffinino, the only player to stay in one position and play the entire ball game for the Atlanta Braves. Anthony Jones started in right field and moved to center, and he's in center field right now. And that pitch is strike, and it's 3-1. Three balls, 1 strike. And this one topped out in the hole. Tough play for the shortstop. Belliard, he throws over to first base, but not in time, and Ochoa is on with 2 men away. So Ochoa representing the tie-breaking run at first base with 2 men out.
Nice try by Rafael Belliard. No way for him to get in position to make a strong throw, as Ochoa has hit number 6 for the Mets.
That'll bring up Luis Lopez, who has a double and 2 runs batted in and 2 at-bats. He also has walks. So Belliard trying to make the play, couldn't do that. And the Mets runner on at first base draws the throw.
Dodgers leading in their game at Colorado, 4-0. San Francisco starts in about 14 minutes. San Diego at San Francisco, Dodgers leading in the 3rd.
And Lopez hits it down the right field side, but it's a foul ball. And Ochoa down to second base will return to first. 1 strike to count to Luis Lopez.
Guess that's a 10:30 start New York time out in San Francisco instead of 10 o'clock.
Giants with a 2-game lead over the Dodgers. Giants winning that series with the Dodgers in San Francisco, winning the 2 games played up there to get back into a tie, and then they have been playing good baseball ever since. Dodgers went up there 2 games up.
Won 3 out of 4 in San Diego, and then they split with the Rockies on Tuesday and Wednesday. They were off Thursday. The Dodgers beat Colorado last night after being swept by the Rockies last weekend.
1 strike to count. The runner goes with a pitch. The throw down to second base. Perfect. And it is an out call by the second base umpire, Bill Hahn. That retires the side. And the score at the end of 8, it's the Mets 6 and the Atlanta Braves 6. And here's a word from Lexus.